Today, we're pleased and motivated to welcome Palmer Luckey to NS2 Labs. He's an inventor, an innovator, a business leader who has a track record of bringing great ideas to life. Palmer's the founder of Anduril Industries, which is touted by its investors as the one company that is applying meaningful advances in technology to a dangerously stagnated U.S. defense industry. I wanted to see if maybe there's 3 things you could nail that people or the government should do that helps us build that foundation and the pathway to the future. Does it require commercial innovation? Does it require government to invest? Is it a policy problem, a cultural problem, an action problem? Like, where do we start?
Investors have to see the government making new successful defense companies. If an investor only sees further consolidation and all the money going to the big primes, investors aren't going to want to invest in new defense companies. Now, I didn't have to deal with this problem to the same extent because I just sold my last company for a few $1 billion. In fact, so in the venture capital world, a company with a valuation of over $1 billion is called a unicorn. There's only 3 unicorns in the defense space in the last 30 years, Anduril, Palantir, and SpaceX. And all of them were founded by people who had already sold their past company for billions of dollars. That's not a model for success. Investors don't want to invest in companies in the defense space unless they have billionaire founders. So like the Palmer Luckey who built Oculus in the garage is never going to be successful in the defense space right now because he's not able to raise money. And I've seen this over and over where smart people with smart teams and great tech are told by investors that they will only invest in them if they give up on the DoD because they don't believe the DoD can be a real customer. And unfortunately, the DoD kind of has cultivated that reputation. It's not an unfair one. I think it's changing now, but if you look at kind of the last 10 years rather than the last 1 year, they've still got a ways to go. Another thing that the government can do is, I think, make it clear that they are, how do I put this? This is a little spicy, and maybe this is usually not what I talk about, but there's kind of 2 more things. One, the government needs to make it easier to get security clearances. I know groups of people that want to work on national security, and it takes so long to get a security clearance, they could never dream of doing a new startup. It takes longer to get a security clearance than most startups raise in their initial seed funding. That means if you raised money as a new startup and immediately somehow got a sponsor in the government to sponsor your clearance, your company will go out of business before anyone in your company is even allowed to be read into a program that would make you money. And this is another one of those things that just ensures the rich get richer, the big get bigger, and you never have any innovation bubbling up from the very bottom. It's always got to be inside of these larger companies. Again, this is a problem that I didn't have because we had enough money to wait years to get our facilities clearance, years to get some of our key employees cleared, years to recruit people from other major defense companies that already had clearances. Like, I had a lot of unfair advantages, and I'm glad to take advantage of those advantages, but I recognize that most people won't be able to. Very, very recently, in an unprecedented twist, the largest, most successful, most innovative technology companies in the US with a near monopoly on talent in artificial intelligence, sensor fusion, and networking, like the Googles, the Apples, the Facebooks of the world, are refusing to do work with the DoD, and they're buying companies and then prohibiting them from working with the DoD. I had this happen with me with Facebook. When Facebook bought Oculus, we were prohibited from doing work with the United States military. When Boston Dynamics, a robotic company, was purchased by Google, all their defense contracts instantly killed. I have friends at an augmented reality company that was purchased by Apple. Same thing. Apple said, nope, all your contracts are dead, no working with DoD. And the United States has made a lot of compromises over the years with the understanding, kind of the implicit handshake agreement that when we give R&D tax credits to major corporations, they're going to work with the DoD to help bring those innovations back into national security. That when we license military technology developed by DARPA to these technology companies to use in their networking products, they're not going to silo it away in a product that the DoD is not even allowed to purchase from them. Like, it's been a handshake agreement, and I think that as times have changed, we might need to revisit that and say, hey, this was a handshake agreement. You guys are breaking it. Maybe we need more than a handshake if you're going to be benefiting from military technology and want to refuse to put back in. Now, I'm not saying we should be like China and force our companies to work with the military, but I do think that we should revisit some of the special advantages that we give to our technology companies that were given to them in the first place based on the premise that they would be helping our national security industry.